The Administratum runs the greater administrative and logistical efforts of the Imperium. It sets tithes for what each world has to provide, oversees the delivery of supplies, and organises transportation of troops and materiel. They don't torture people. No one gets flayed or murdered by the Administratum, despite the massive eye symbol which makes you think of the Inquisition. Yet they are responsible for billions of deaths in the 41st millennium. There is no funny upside to the Administratum. We can be scared of orcs as monstrous killers, but also laugh at them as a fungus creature that makes cars go fast. Tyranids are just cuddly, lovable little guys you want to take for a walk, as well as intergalactic monsters that want to eat your face. The Administratum has no funny side. They are bureaucracy made manifest. When it works, no one notices. No one praises how they can organise a galaxy worth of planets to provide constant war material for crusades, to feed the untold billions of suffering citizens of the Imperium by getting food from agri-worlds to hive worlds, and this is a vast and important task. No one praises the administrators. But when it goes wrong, it is horrifying and bleak. The Administratum is the epitome of what the Imperium of Man is. Slow, monolithic, dogmatic, and uncaring. There are some short passages in books that represent them. In the Taurox campaign in the Imperial Armor books, where the Imperium is fighting the Tau, I don't remember if it was this volume or not, but I do remember a drop troop regiment needing gas masks and water and ammunition, only to be sent a contingent of saddles. In a book that I think was the Black Dragon's Death of Antagonist book, sorry, I'm not going to reread the whole book just to check and maybe find out it wasn't that one, but there is a manufacturing planet that makes a special kind of lasgun pack that fires a stronger charge that only fits a special kind of lasgun made elsewhere, but that kind of lasgun has been discontinued. The knowledge to make it was lost. But these people don't stop making the charge packs, so mountain slopes get littered with ammunition with this pointless exercise. These are the minor cases. There are worse. I will be looking at 3 more stories in depth. They are for the book, 15 Hours, the audio drama Watcher in the Rain, and the Tithes Warhammer animation, episode 3. I'll let you know when there are spoilers, so you can skip to the next part if you want, and you know ahead of time to avoid reading all the comments. But let's talk about the tithes. Each planet has to provide something based on their classification. An agri-world produces food of some kind, hive worlds produce people to work across the galaxy, forge worlds and manufacturing worlds create weapons and tools. Worlds like Cadia produce soldiers. That is their main export. Sorry, produced. 90% of its people were under arms at any one time, and they were shipped across the galaxy to fight. The world of Krieg is similar. So it doesn't matter what a world's climate is like or its local government. The Imperium does not care if you're a democracy, an underground civilization with an oligarchy. Hey, there might be a coup on Necromunda and perhaps a new dictator comes to power. The Imperium does not care. As long as you meet the tithe, they won't hurt you and will ostensibly protect you. It doesn't matter if your planet has been in a warp storm and had no contact with the outside Imperium for 80 years. When the planet emerges, it had better be ready to pay its tithe in full. So let's talk about the animated episode, The Tithes. I will let you know when the spoilers come in. So Imperial soldiers are defending a settlement against orcs, but they're running low on ammunition. The Administratum organises and provides ammunition, that is one of their jobs. So ammunition landers make planetfall supervised by Kazakin. This is where the spoilers start. They are not here to provide ammunition to fight the war, they are here to collect ammunition. The settlement has to provide ammunition for the greater galactic war effort. It doesn't matter if they may need it now if the enemy is at the gate, such things do not concern the Imperial Administratum. There is a tithe to pay, you must pay. Orders are orders. So the Kazakin collect the ammo as the soldiers are told to fix bayonets. The Kazakin transport the ammunition onto a world, a Munitorium Depot AN06.01, which is a storage world. It gathers the tithe and then it sends it out to where it is needed. This world supported crusade fleets, but eventually the ships stopped coming to get the supplies. Perhaps the warp route they followed was cut off or changed, so fleets had to take a different path to get to their destination, or perhaps the Crusade succeeded in all of its goals and the Crusade ended. But no one told this world. In the terrifying and oppressive Imperium, you don't use initiative, you don't question your orders, and you certainly do not stop the tithe. So they kept collecting ammunition and supplies, and then it doesn't go anywhere. So over the centuries, the mass accrued has caused tectonic shifts, so when they get more ammunition, they have to destroy it. There is enough for the tithe if it came to be collected from them and then sent off. And that is how the episode ends. Everyone follows their orders, guardsmen fix bayonets and presumably die, the Imperium staggers on. Perhaps in the future some Inquisitor will pass by and have the authority to take all that ammunition to supply his own forces, but until then, resources will be gathered and wasted. The Imperial administrative clerks that are working for the Administratum are not happy when they have to do this job, but it is their duty. You don't ever get to see happy administrative clerks. And I don't just mean in real life, even though 40k and life have a big crossover. You might get dour commissars who just do their duty, or you might get really fanatical ones who love to execute scared soldiers. But no administrative person is portrayed as loving their job. So that moves us on to the next story, The Watcher in the Rain. It is a Warhammer horror audiobook. I'm not normally a fan of horror or supernatural creatures. If I could see myself in the mirror, then I would presumably get quite a fright. But this is very gothic horror. I find that the enjoyable kind of horror. A planet of administrators, which primarily does administrative tasks, called K4, is going to be overtaken by a warp storm. This doesn't mean demons everywhere. It doesn't not mean demons everywhere, but the planet would be cut off from the rest of the galaxy for some time. The coming of the warp storm also brought freak weather, and the people are being evacuated. This includes the protagonist, Greta Vern. The Watcher is a demon that follows people around, often they're at the edge of your peripheral vision or in a far-off window, watching in the rain. But the monster of the story is not the demon. Yes, the Administratum outstrips even demon entities in its horrific nature and body count. So now we start the spoiler section. Greta works for the Administratum, as I've said, but she did not enjoy it. But she found a new hobby, being a filthy traitor. Greta is a mass murderer. Her body count may rival Khan the Betrayer. Greta input data and sent off messages in a chain of orders delivered and sent, organising transport and delivery of supplies. One day, she made a mistake. It horrified her. She had become paranoid that any moment she would be found out and dragged away for torture and execution. But nothing happened. No one noticed. No one cared. The Imperium is so vast that such a small thing was inconsequential. So another mistake was made, rather more deliberately by an increasingly less concerned with self-preservation Greta. And again, Greta felt that fear of being caught, but also a thrill. She was rebelling in her own way. Greta feared and hated the Imperium. So she became a traitor and used her impressive administrative skills to kill as many people as she could to punish the Imperium and try to make it collapse. With a strike of her pen, she could make sure soldiers were sent food, but perishable food. Food perfectly timed to pass inspection, but would have started to rot and become inedible by the time it reached the front lines. She sent ammunition to the wrong place. She could send massive Lehman Russ tanks to an impenetrable jungle where Hellhound flame tanks were needed instead. By the end, she admits she does not know how many deaths she has caused, but it could be in the millions. With some poetic justice, Greta gets her just desserts. As the Administratum could potentially be turned against the Imperium to such deadly effect, it is not an understatement to say it is the most horrifying and dangerous part of the Imperium. Part of its horror is its relatability. We don't know what it would be like to be flayed alive and have a demon turn our intestines into tentacles. It would probably hurt. But we have all had administrative problems where we faced a monolithic company or rule that can't be changed or bargained with, and we suffer because of it. It has also happened in battles and wars in our history. Supposedly, one of the reasons that the Battle of Isel Dalwana was lost by the British and Allied forces was because ammunition was provided too slowly, with orderly queues and paperwork being checked and filed by clerks in the middle of the battle. So let's look at the next one. The book 15 Hours. This has the Imperial Guard and the Administratum. I don't have a spoiler section for this because it happened so quickly into the book. Arvin Lan is 17 years old and joins the Imperial Guard as a volunteer. His regiment is gearing up to fight a planetary defense force that has rebelled, and they are going in to restore stability to an Imperial world. But then comes the Administratum. A tired, bored and disillusioned administrator is passing on orders. There is a short chapter dedicated to just them. They don't care anymore. They just keep on passing orders, moving troops around. While passing on one order, the administrator thinks they may have made a slight mistake and one number was wrong, but they don't care. The unhappy administrator is represented here again, and they don't go back to check or correct the mistake. They just carry on. So one company of Arvin Lane's regiment, his company, is dropped off on a different planet on the way to their destination. They're not told why or what they are doing, and the massive lander could probably hold a battalion, never mind a company. He is dropped straight into a trench warfare siege battle against orcs, an enemy he has almost no knowledge of outside of the Imperial infantryman's uplifting primer. On this world, in this war, the life expectancy of a brand new guardsman is 15 hours. It is a number often quoted in 40k lore that the average guardsman will die after 15 hours of combat, and that is not true. It is just this war, and only for the fresh recruits. So remember that the next time you hear about how quickly guardsmen die in 15 hours. This is where the number comes from, and the misunderstanding. So in this book, the protagonist doesn't get to make much of a choice. They don't even get to see the inciting incident. They are a backseat passenger in the events. The Administratum commands, however unthinkingly, and you must obey. Trust the Administratum, just as we trust the YouTube algorithm to give us good videos. If you like more horrific lore, let's have a look next at why the Battle Sisters lore is so grim for them. Have a great day, organising 40k.